The audience is William Roskowski and Michael Parker, the two managing partners of our firm. I have been given 4 to 5 minutes to tell them about the communications proposal. My pitch will be in one of our informal weekly meetings, which are typically sitting around a conference table. I have chosen to focus on financial returns since that is what my bosses care about, and I will focus on speaking more slowly.
All right, first of all, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak today. As you know, I believe that communication is very important. In fact, great communication leads to higher levels of efficiency, which ultimately leads to higher levels of profit. And I think it could be so bold to say that the most important next step for us to take in the evolution of our firm would be to become better communicators. And here's why I think that. For the last couple months, I've been taking a class on communication at the Kelley School, and we've been dealing with 3 things: listening, writing, and speaking. And the professor's done a really good job of helping us understand how important communication is within a business. From top to bottom, communication happens all over the place in many different mediums. And they've convinced me that if we are to become better communicators, the organization will become more efficient and ultimately become more profitable. So I challenged this line of thinking and I tried to apply this to our business. And I look back at situations that we had in the past with conversations with brokers and projects that we've completed. And I looked at how communication is so pervasive throughout everything that we do. And I conclude that if we were to become better communicators, we could ultimately become more efficient and ultimately more profitable. And I thought to myself, how can we become better communicators as a firm? So I put together a bit of a communications proposal that is 3-tiered. And in this 3-tiered proposal, I break down a couple different things that I think are important. The first tier is dealing with communication in general. The second tier dives a little bit deeper into some of the levels of communication. And the last tier is the creation of a template that's going to help us continue to become better communicators. So let me take each tier in a little bit more detail now. The first tier is dealing with communication holistically, dealing with listening, writing, and speaking. And the goal of this meeting would be for me to lead you guys through some of the findings about communication and then open up our minds to communication holistically. How well do we do when we're communicating at home or in the office, or if we are writing an email or a contract? And when we leave this meeting, I want us to be thinking about communication. And when we go throughout our days for the next month or so, I want to think, how well did I communicate there? Could I have communicated better? How could I have communicated better? Then we'll start the second tier. The second tier is going to go through the 3 specific levels of communication: listening, writing, and speaking. What I'd like to get out of this listening lecture that I would lead would be how to become active listeners. So what I'd like to do is survey how we're currently doing. Are we listening well? In what context are we listening well? Are there other contexts where we're not listening as well? And put together a bit of a game plan to move forward and become better listeners. The second module in this tier would be dealing with writing. And I want to focus on 2 different areas of writing: writing emails and writing contracts. How can we write better emails? How can we write better contracts? And what I'd like to do is apply the 10 C's to effective business writing. And these 10 C's will help us to become better writers holistically. And from this, hopefully our audience will be able to read what we've written and understand it more clearly. And the last tier of this is me putting together a template. And this template will be used as a post-mortem. And what we'll do is finish up a project, get together, and we'll walk through what did we do well, what could we have done better, and how can we get better in the future. So as you know, communication is very important. Great communication leads to higher levels of efficiency, which ultimately garners us more profit. And like I said earlier, I believe the most important step for us to take as a firm is to become more effective communicators. So now I'd like to open up the floor for us to discuss this proposal a bit more and see if this is something we'd like to move forward with.